Today's May 10th, which is Mother's Day in the United States. And Friday, 2 days ago, May 8th, 2020, was the 75th anniversary of V.E. Day, Victory in Europe Day, which marked the end of the European theater of World War II with the unconditional surrender of Germany. This morning I want to reflect just a bit briefly on each and share some readings I came across this week in relation to both that I recommend to you. First, I'll light our chalice. With the kindling of this flame, we reaffirm our commitment to accept life's gifts with grace and gratitude, and to use them to bless the world in the spirit of love. Motherhood is a difficult and demanding role in the best of circumstances. The difficulty level has been ratcheted up in this time of global pandemic. The mothers I know with small children in their home are really in the thick of it now, trying to figure out their finances, keeping their job going, or finding new work or extra side hustles, as the millennials call it, if their work dried up during this pandemic. They're navigating FaceTime and Zoom and other online platforms for their own jobs and also for their children's schools as well. They're being sticklers even more so than usual regarding hygiene and cleaning and washing hands and showering. All in an environment of legitimate fear that they or a loved one might contract the novel coronavirus and legitimate fear of financial instability. The mothers and grandmothers I know with adult children outside the home today could be having a more isolating day. The proverbial, you never visit your mother anymore, just doesn't ring true in a time of global pandemic, when visiting your mother could put your health at serious risk or her health at serious risk. If mothers are used to their adult children taking them out to brunch on Mother's Day or presenting them with flowers in person, that might not be the safest course of action this year if your children are not in your quarantine. Phone calls are perhaps the best route for this Mother's Day. Now, usually in years past at Sedona UU Fellowship on Mother's Day, we would read the responsive reading, the Mother's Day Proclamation of 1870 by Julia Ward Howe. Julia Ward Howe was a leading Unitarian thinker and activist, abolitionist and suffragist, organizer, and most famously the writer of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. This week I came across a short reflection by the historian Heather Cox Richardson, who's a history professor at Boston College. Professor Richardson goes into detail on the origins of Mother's Day. She references directly Julia Ward Howe's Mother's Day Proclamation that we read each Mother's Day at SUUF every year. And she also shares some detailed background from Julia's personal life and the political life of the country and the world at the time in which she wrote that proclamation, and how women were waking up to their political power. So I'm not going to recite it, I just included the link below, and I encourage you to read it. Professor Richardson is a gifted writer. Now to discuss V.E. Day, Victory in Europe Day, the 75th anniversary. Just 2 days ago, Friday, May 8th, was the 75th anniversary. And everything I know about World War II, I've read in history books or seen in movies or been told stories about. I have no lived experience of it. Nevertheless, what I know about it makes me feel strongly that to be an engaged U.S. citizen today in 2020, it's imperative we study in some depth the 1930s and 40s and all the factors that led to World War II. Propaganda, scapegoating, nationalism, racism, tyranny, why and how institutions fail, and why and how institutions persevere. We should study what Hannah Arendt meant when she wrote that totalitarian movements use and abuse democratic freedoms in order to abolish them. This past Friday, there was a big commemoration event scheduled to take place in Berlin, Germany, with representatives from all the nations involved in World War II. The nations were invited to formally attend the event. Of course, the in-person event was rightfully canceled out of safety concerns due to the novel coronavirus pandemic. However, the President of Germany released a speech for the occasion and had it translated into 10 languages, including English, and posted it online for all to read. The President of Germany is Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and in the parliamentary government of Germany, the President is the head of state. Angela Merkel is the Chancellor of Germany, and she is the head of government. And this speech was written by the President, Frank-Walter Steinmeier. I read it and I found it very moving, very insightful, very mature. I also found it very motivating to remain steadfast in advocating for freedom and democracy and truth. So I also included a link below for that and encourage you to read it for yourself. Finally, the Queen of England, Elizabeth II, was a driver for the British war effort as a teenager during World War II, and she spoke this past Friday to commemorate V.E. Day, and she spoke last month on April 5th, I believe, to the Commonwealth to encourage them during the coronavirus pandemic. When she spoke last month on April 5th, she ended her address with the phrase, "We'll meet again." And when she spoke this 2 days ago on Friday, after the address, the British public was invited to join a countrywide sing-along of "We'll Meet Again" outside their front doors. So when I heard about that, I had to figure out what they were talking about. "We'll Meet Again," it was a song by Vera Lynn, and it was one of the most famous songs of the Second World War era. It was said to resonate with soldiers going off to fight in the war, as well as their families and loved ones and sweethearts. Today she's Dame Vera Lynn, and she's held with great affection by veterans of the Second World War. In 2000, she was named the Briton who best exemplified the spirit of the 20th century. Believe it or not, she is still alive today at 103 years old. And we have a special treat today in that our wonderful musician, Susanna Martin, recorded Vera Lynn's famous song, "We'll Meet Again," for us this week. And I attached it in the email as an MP3 file for your enjoyment. So thank you, Susanna, for that. It is a lovely song. And so may the world be at peace, and may you be at peace as well.